Maya sat on the edge of her creaky bed, staring at the half-empty tin of baby formula sitting on the floor. The silence of the small rented room was broken only by the faint hum of a broken ceiling fan that turned lazily, stirring the warm air but offering little comfort. Her baby, Liam, lay beside her, kicking his tiny legs against a faded blanket. His occasional soft whimpers pierced her heart like needles. As a single mother, she had heard many cries of hunger, discomfort, fear, but this one felt different. It sounded tired, defeated, almost as if even the baby knew the situation was hopeless. Maya ran a hand through her messy hair and exhaled. She had already spent the last hour calling and texting every friend she could think of, old college classmates, neighbors, coworkers, anyone who might be willing to lend even a small amount. But most of the messages were left unseen, and the few replies she did receive were apologies. Many of them were struggling too, times were hard everywhere. Still, she kept telling herself she'd find a way. She always had. Her phone vibrated with another notification, a reminder that rent was due in 2 days. The landlord had already warned her twice, and she knew he wouldn't be patient a third time. She swallowed hard, her throat tightening. She was choosing between formula for her baby and a roof over their heads. No mother should ever have to choose that. In desperation, she opened her phone again, the cracked screen flickering slightly. She scrolled to her friend Sarah's name. Sarah had helped her before, though Maya hated asking. She typed a message slowly, her thumb trembling. Sarah, I'm really sorry to ask again. I don't have money for baby formula. Can you please lend me $20? I'll pay you back as soon as I get my paycheck. She stared at it for a moment before pressing send. A wave of shame washed over her, but she pushed it down. Pride wouldn't feed Liam. She set the phone aside and picked up her son. He curled into her chest, seeking warmth. She kissed his tiny forehead and whispered, "It's okay, baby. Mama's got you. I'm trying." Minutes passed. Then 20. Then 30. Sarah didn't reply. Maya sighed and reached for her phone again, hoping maybe the message had gone through late or Sarah simply hadn't seen it. But there was no new notification. Instead, the screen glitch flickered once, and for a brief moment, Maya noticed the number she had typed looked unfamiliar. Her heart skipped. No, 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 she whispered. She had typed Sarah's number 1,000 times, she knew it by heart. But this time, the last digit had changed. The crack on her screen sometimes caused the touchscreen to misread her input. She had sent her most desperate message to a stranger. She buried her face in her hands, mortified. What must they think of her? A random woman begging for $20? She didn't bother sending another message to clarify. What difference would it make? Whoever received it would ignore it, or worse, mock her. She placed the phone face down on the mattress and hugged Liam again, silently praying he wouldn't wake up hungry too soon. Just when the room felt unbearably heavy, her phone buzzed. Maya froze. No one texted back this fast, especially not someone she had accidentally messaged. With trembling fingers, she picked up the phone. One unread message. She opened it. The message read, "Are you okay? Who is Liam?" Her pulse quickened. This wasn't Sarah. This wasn't anyone she knew. A stranger had replied. Her accidental message had reached someone who actually responded. She had no idea that this wrong number belonged to a billionaire. Miles Carter sat alone in his corner office on the 52nd floor of the Carter Tech headquarters, the city skyline glittering behind him like a curtain of diamonds. It was past midnight, long after most employees had gone home. But for Miles, nights like this were normal. Success had demands, and he had never learned how to rest. Sleeplessness was both his curse and his strength. He rubbed his forehead, leaning back in his leather chair. Meetings, investor calls, product launches, his mind had been full for weeks. Yet despite all his achievements, something had been gnawing at him lately. A strange emptiness he couldn't explain. All the money in the world, yet no warmth, no family, no real human connection. His phone buzzed. He almost ignored it. Unknown numbers rarely meant anything important. But the preview of the message made him pause mid-breath. "Can you please lend me $20? My baby has no formula left." Miles frowned slightly, then opened the full message. It wasn't the usual spam, no scammer, no advertisement. It was raw, personal, desperate. He sat forward in his chair, reading it again slowly. A mother begging for money. For her baby. He felt something heavy settle in his chest. He had grown up with a single mother too, one who had worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. He knew the taste of struggle. He knew the weight of hunger. He stared at the message longer than he intended. Most wealthy people would block the number and move on. But Miles was different. His success had never erased the memory of the nights he had cried in silence when his mother skipped meals just so he could have enough. His fingers hovered over the keypad before he typed. Are you okay? Who is Liam? The moment he sent it, a part of him wondered how the woman would react. Would she ignore him? Would she think he was judging her? He didn't know, but something inside him insisted he couldn't let this go. A few minutes later, his phone buzzed again. This time, it was her, Maya. I'm so sorry, I texted the wrong number. I didn't mean to bother you. Please ignore the message. Miles read those words 3 times, each one cutting deeper. She was apologizing for being desperate. She was embarrassed for needing help. And that broke something inside him. He typed slowly, knowing he couldn't rush this. It's not a bother. You sounded like you needed help. Tell me what's going on. It took a long time for her to reply. The typing bubble appeared, then disappeared. Appeared again, then vanished. He could almost feel her fear, her hesitation, her pride fighting with her circumstances. Finally, a message came. I really didn't mean to text you. It was a mistake. Forget it, I'm fine. But Miles could read between the lines. She wasn't fine. And Liam, whoever he was, certainly wasn't fine either. He stood up abruptly, grabbed his coat, and walked toward the elevator. His assistant, who had been dozing at her desk, jumped up. Mr. Carter? Where are you going? You have a briefing at 6 a.m. I know, Miles said, voice low. Cancel it. But, sir? I need to help someone. The assistant blinked, confused, as the elevator doors closed. Miles wasn't sure what he would find. A scam? A mistake? A woman who wouldn't trust him? But he knew one thing for certain, he couldn't ignore a baby going hungry. Not tonight, not ever. He texted Maya again as he stepped into the elevator. I'm coming. Please send me your location. Maya feel smaller, more exposed. She wrapped a blanket tighter around herself and Liam. Then she heard it, the low hum of an engine. A car pulled up outside. Not just any car. A long, black vehicle with tinted windows, shining even under the weak streetlight. It looked impossibly expensive, out of place in her neighborhood of cracked sidewalks and rusted stair rails. Her breath trembled. Rich people never came here, not unless they were lost. She took a step back from the window when a tall man stepped out of the car. His posture was confident yet calm, his hands empty, palms visible, as if he wanted her to know he meant no harm. He wasn't dressed like someone who came from this world. A dark wool coat, polished shoes, and hair slightly messy as though he'd rushed out of somewhere important. But his face, his eyes, they held warmth. Sincerity. He looked around the building, almost heartbroken by the sight. Maya's phone buzzed. I'm outside. Please don't be afraid. She hesitated for a long moment before opening the door a crack. Cold air rushed in. The man turned to her slowly, respectful, not approaching too fast. Are you Maya? He asked softly. She nodded, gripping Liam tightly. He held up 2 large bags, baby formula, diapers, wipes, fruits, bread, even warm blankets. I didn't know what you needed, he said, voice gentle. So I bought a little of everything. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Tears blurred her vision, not because he brought things, but because someone cared. Someone finally cared. Why would you do this? She whispered, voice cracking. Miles stepped closer, keeping a respectful distance. No mother should have to beg for her child, he said quietly. Ever. Maya stared at the message on her phone for several seconds, her breath catching in her throat. I'm coming. Please send me your location. Her hands began to tremble. Who was this man? Why would a stranger care? How did he know she needed help so urgently? Fear tugged at her instincts. The world wasn't kind to women like her, women living alone, poor, vulnerable. She had seen enough news to know that trusting the wrong person could ruin everything. She hugged Liam closer, his small body warm and fragile against her chest. Her reply was quick and firm. No, please don't come. I don't even know you. I'll figure something out. She put the phone down and paced the room. The wooden floor creaked with each step. The tiny space, barely larger than a storage closet, felt even smaller when anxiety swelled inside her chest. A single window rattled from the cold wind outside. The heater hadn't worked in months, and she couldn't afford repairs. The room smelled faintly of old paint, damp walls, and baby lotion, the only soft scent in her difficult life. She tried rocking Liam to sleep, but hunger made him restless. His whimpers grew into soft cries, his fists clenching between tiny gasps. Maya's eyes burned with helpless tears. I'm sorry, baby, Mama is trying, she whispered, gently bouncing him. Her phone buzzed again. I don't mean any harm. But I can help. Let me bring you some formula. She felt her knees weaken. Was he serious? Why would someone offer help to a complete stranger, especially in the middle of the night? She typed a long reply, deleted it. Typed again, erased. Her pride screamed that she shouldn't accept charity. But then Liam's cries grew louder, desperate and pained, and reality crushed whatever pride she had left. Finally, with trembling fingers, she sent her address. She regretted it instantly. What if this was a mistake? What if he wasn't who he said he was? Minutes felt like hours. The building's hallway echoed with distant footsteps, occasional arguments, and the buzz of flickering lights. Every sound Miles exhaled slowly, his fists clenching for a split second. I'm sorry, he murmured. You deserved better. Maya gave a weak, tired laugh. Everyone says that, but better doesn't pay bills. Better doesn't buy formula. She motioned around the small room. This is what I got. Her honesty stung him. Miles had spent his entire life climbing out of poverty with his mother. He knew exactly what it looked like, the worn-out furniture, the half-empty shelves, the quiet desperation. But he had never seen a mother fight this hard and still have so little. Why didn't you ask anyone for help? He asked gently. I did, Maya whispered. People get tired of helping. Or they judge you. Or they say they understand but they don't really. She sighed deeply. I've been working part-time at a fabric store. But they cut my hours last month. And I can't take full-time shifts because I don't have anyone to watch Liam. Her voice cracked on the last sentence, exposing the truth behind all her struggles. She wasn't lazy or irresponsible. She was alone. Miles stepped closer, slowly, making sure every movement was non-threatening. Maya, he said quietly, none of this is your fault. Her lip trembled. No one had said that to her before. He continued, you're doing everything you can. More than most people would. Maya pressed her forehead against Liam's head, letting the tears finally fall. I'm trying, she whispered. I'm really trying, but it's never enough. Miles wanted to reach out, to offer comfort, but he didn't touch her. Instead, he spoke gently, you've carried this alone long enough. Maya looked up, confused. What do you mean? I want to help you, Miles said with quiet conviction. Not just tonight, but properly. Her heart stopped. Why? Why would you do that for me? Miles inhaled sharply, his voice weighted with honesty. Because your message wasn't a mistake, he said. I think it was meant for me. Maya stepped aside just enough for Miles to enter, though she still kept one protective arm curled around Liam. Miles paused at the doorway, his eyes adjusting to the dim light. The room was shockingly small, smaller than any office storage room he'd ever seen. A single bed pushed against the wall, a cracked window covered with a thin cloth, a tiny stove that had clearly seen better days, and a stack of unpaid bills sitting openly on a crate that served as a table. The heater clicked uselessly in the corner, blowing nothing but cold air. The space wasn't dirty, on the contrary, Maya had done everything possible to keep it tidy. But it was painfully clear that this wasn't a home. It was survival. Miles felt a heavy pressure forming in his chest. This wasn't the life any mother deserved. He stepped in quietly, placing the bags on the small crate. I'm sorry if I intruded, he said genuinely. I didn't mean to make you uncomfortable. I just couldn't ignore your message. Maya swallowed hard. She didn't know whether to thank him, apologize, or break down crying. She felt all three emotions crashing inside her like waves. Liam fussed in her arms, and she shifted him gently. You shouldn't have come, she whispered. You don't even know me. I don't need to know you to help, Miles replied softly. She blinked rapidly, surprised by his sincerity. She wasn't used to kindness, not from strangers, not from anyone. Tears welled in her eyes, and she quickly turned her face away, embarrassed. Miles pretended not to notice, giving her time. Can I ask, where's Liam's father? He asked carefully. Her jaw tightened. It was a question she hated, but also one she needed someone, anyone, to understand. He left, she said simply. When I told him I was pregnant, he said he wasn't ready to be a father. Then he blocked me everywhere. The next morning, sunlight crept through the cracked window, painting faint, warm streaks across the walls. Maya stirred awake on the edge of the bed, Liam curled safely beside her. For the first time in weeks, he slept peacefully, full, warm, and comforted. She had barely slept a minute herself. Every time she closed her eyes, she replayed the night before. The stranger at her door, the bags full of necessities, the soft but firm promise he made before leaving. I want to help you, properly. She didn't know what that meant. She didn't know if he was serious, or if she had imagined the entire moment out of exhaustion and fear. Part of her told her to forget it. Men made promises all the time. Life didn't hand miracles to people like her. But another part, a small, fragile part, hoped he truly meant it. She was still lost in thought when her phone buzzed. A new email. From Carter Industries' HR department. Her heart stuttered. She sat up quickly, one hand covering her mouth. The email opened slowly, every second feeling like a lifetime. Dear Maya, following internal approval from the executive office, we are pleased to offer you a remote administrative position effective immediately, ****. She stopped reading, gasping for breath. This couldn't be real. This couldn't be happening. A job? A full-time job? Working from home? Her eyes darted across the screen. Checkmark competitive salary. Checkmark health insurance. Checkmark flexible hours. Checkmark laptop delivery scheduled. Checkmark training included. She felt dizzy. Her hands shook. Tears blurred the words. Another notification appeared, a message from Miles. I hope you saw the email. Don't worry, you earned that job. You're capable, smart, and determined. You just needed someone to open a door for you. Her breath broke into a sob. She typed back with trembling fingers. Why are you doing this for me? You don't even know me. You don't owe me anything. His reply came instantly. My mother raised me alone. I know how hard it is. A single message from a stranger reminded me of her strength. You remind me of her. Maya pressed a hand to her chest, overwhelmed. Another message arrived. There's something else. I want you to move into a safer place. Check your inbox again. She opened the next email and froze. A fully furnished 2-bedroom apartment. Prepaid for an entire year. Walking distance from a daycare center he had already arranged support for. Maya stared at the screen, stunned. No, this is too much, she whispered. This is impossible. Just then, Liam woke with his little morning cry, reaching out blindly. Maya picked him up, holding him close. This is for you, she whispered into his tiny hair. You're going to grow up safe. You're going to have a real home. Her phone buzzed again. Maya, I'm not giving charity. I'm investing in someone strong. Someone who didn't give up even when she had every reason to. Let me help you build the life you deserve. She wiped her tears, sat on the bed, and looked at Liam, whose big innocent eyes stared up at her. Mama's not alone anymore, she whispered. A knock sounded at the door. Her heart skipped, fear at first, then a flicker of hope. She opened it slowly. Miles stood there, holding a small stuffed bear and a soft smile. I thought he might like this, he said. Maya choked on a tearful laugh. Why are you so kind? Miles looked at her gently. Because the world needs more people who care. And because one wrong number wasn't wrong at all. For the first time in years, Maya felt something powerful rise inside her. A future. A chance. Hope. And it had arrived. From a message she never meant to send.